Hi everyone, I'm back. I'm so sorry it took me so long to get back onto the tier list game, but it's been a wild ride. I was in Vegas last week and it was quite an experience. I might do a whole video on it. I might not, I don't know, but that's not what you're here for. You're here because it is Top Tier Tuesday. And in honor of him getting his own special, documentary on Netflix, I'm going to be doing a tier list of my favorite Eddie Murphy films of all time. Okay, if you don't know who Eddie Murphy is, I highly recommend you look him up. I highly recommend you go watch the Netflix special. But Eddie Murphy is a comedian slash actor, all the way back to like the 80s, I believe. And he got his start as a stand-up comedian. He took that, went to SNL, took that, went to movies, and he just blew up. He was just everywhere. He's amazing. He's funny. He's a great singer. He even has like really strong acting capabilities and like more serious roles as well. But I digress. Okay, I'm not gonna do some long drawn out Eddie Murphy dossier explanation of who he is, because you can go see the Eddie Murphy special on Netflix. If you don't know who he is and you just want a quick little brain reminder, Eddie Murphy voiced Donkey in the movie Shrek. He voiced Dragon in the movie Mulan, if that's not dating back far enough for you. He also is the main character, and I believe he had a hand in the writing and stuff for Coming to America. He also is the main character for, what is it called? Beverly Hills Cop. And you might even know him from like Nutty Professor or from Norbit or so many things, okay? But he started out being like one of those really raunchy like comedians, but he kind of like mellowed out over the years. You know, as his kids got older, he realized, you know, this is something I want my kids to be able to watch and enjoy. And he was not kid friendly starting out, so now he has a lot more family friendly films. But I said I wasn't gonna get into it, but I got into it anyways. Let's move on. Here we go. According to Rotten Tomatoes, Eddie Murphy's number 5 film is Trading Places. Number 4 is Shrek. Number 3 is Shrek 2, which is the superior Shrek in my personal opinion. I love part 2 the most. Number 2 is 48 Hours, and number 1 is Dolemite Is My Name. This is a very good list. Only one film on this list made my tier list, and let's get into that right now. Okay, so coming up with my list was not that hard. I did hit a bump in the road where I had a tie, and eventually I just forced myself to have like a tiebreaker, which my tiebreaker is always rewatchability. So like if it is rewatchable, if I'm just gonna like throw that sucker on in the background while I'm cleaning or just, you know, doing what I gotta do, then it's going to take that spot. So for me, there was a very big issue in claiming my top 2, but I ended up pushing one of them to top 3, which made my list push down my number 5 spot into the number 6 spot. So I'm gonna go ahead and say number 6 is Coming to America. It was going to be number 5, but again, that tiebreaker pushed it all the way down. So let's go ahead and get into the official tier list. Number 5 goes to... Okay, let's try this again. Trading Places. The movie is called Trading Places. And Trading Places is about Eddie Murphy's character and his co-star Dan Aykroyd's character trading places, literally. What happens is Dan Aykroyd's bosses, they make a bet to see if someone like Eddie Murphy could rise above the ranks if given the opportunity to be successful. So they frame Dan Aykroyd's character, get him fired. He loses everything. He loses his job, he loses his home, he loses his fiance, he loses his finances, he loses everything. He's destitute. And he basically literally swaps places with Eddie Murphy's character. Eddie Murphy, he gets the opportunity to work in this company, take his position, and he uses his street smarts to rise above the ranks. They all figure out this was done on purpose. We were both sabotaged, we were both used for a bet. And like can you guess how much they bet on these people's lives.
Dukes ruined my life over a bet. For how much? $1.
Literally $1. Literally bet $1 that this would happen, and they ruined people's lives for $1. But basically, it's literally about the two of them adjusting to their new lifestyle, figuring out that they were conned and tricked and sabotaged, and then working together to take them out. Which, if you did not know, there is a little Easter egg connecting Trading Places and Coming to America. If you go into Coming to America, the scene where he is walking Lisa down the street and he has like a bag full of cash, he gives that cash to a couple homeless people, and it's actually Mortimer and Randolph. I think that's why I remember it the most, is because they said their names over and over again in that scene. But anyways, I digress. Number 5 spot goes to Trading Places.
I'm still not talking to you.
So earlier I mentioned that I do prefer Eddie Murphy's family-friendly films more than I prefer his raunchier films. And that is why I chose this movie as my number 4 spot. Number 4 goes to The Haunted Mansion. The Haunted Mansion is a movie based off of the ride, The Haunted Mansion at Disney. And it's all about Eddie Murphy's character. I'm trying to remember his character's name. Okay, so basically, Eddie Murphy's character, I believe, I'm just going to call him Mr. Evers because I know they were called Evers and Evers Real Estate. So, Mr. Evers' character, he has a wife, Sarah. I remember that, Sarah. And they have 2 beautiful children, but they're realtors. And he is a workaholic. And instead of going on their vacation like he promised, he decides, before we go on our vacation, let's stop at this estate, this beautiful mansion. I want to try to convince this person to sell with us. Because, like, oh my God, the amount of money we'll get for selling this house will be crazy. So they go on this detour, they go to the mansion. It turns out it is haunted mansion, woo. And the ghost, the owner of the home, the ghost, the main ghost, he is obsessed with Sarah. She looks exactly like his wife who passed away years ago. Okay, and there's this whole story behind like why she passed and what happened, and when she died, he was so stricken with grief, he took his own life as well, and the entire place was cursed after that. So you just get to see Eddie Murphy's character fight to escape, find his children. At one point, he lost his children, and then try to rescue his wife from this crazy ghost that wants to marry her. So that's Haunted Mansion. Okay, so I know I'm gonna get so much hate for my number 3 spot. This spot, okay, no, not this spot. This movie was tied with my 2nd place winner, but I don't care. I love this movie, and it's so rewatchable for me. It is quotable, it is funny, it is hilarious, it's Norbit. Okay, Norbit got my number 3 spot. Norbit is about a man who was raised by a very rough family, and he's an orphan. He grew up on an orphanage, and one day this girl named Respucia basically just lays claim over him in his life, and he thinks it's love. He marries her eventually, but she's just awful. She's mean, she's abusive, she's a cheater, all this other stuff. And of course, she is played by Eddie Murphy. Okay, I think it's so funny. I mean, there's also a lot of like different things that go into it. Like the body doubles that they use were actually, bigger women. Not the entire thing was him in a bodysuit. They had women, plus size women, stand in for him multiple times, and they just like CG'd his face over their face. Which, in reality, they honestly could have just used a plus-size woman to play this part. But I think because they wanted it to be so dramatically bad, he just chose to be comical with it and use his own face. That's my perception of why they did what they did with the casting of Norbit. They could be just because he thought it was funny. I don't know. But I like to look at it in a different aspect. Also, they chose... I can't pronounce her name right. Donde Newton. I can't pronounce her name right now, I'm so sorry. But they chose her because they really wanted to highlight that, like, difference in size. You know what I mean? But anyways, I digress. Norbit, there's really no deeper meaning to it. It's a comedy. It's a ridiculously funny comedy. It's just slapstick humor. Go watch it. Get your own opinion. It is a bad movie. Okay, it is bad. I admit that, but I love it to death. The movie that got tied with Norbit for number 2, which ultimately took the number 2 spot, is going to be The Nutty Professor. The Nutty Professor, I'm pretty sure was like the first time I saw Eddie Murphy. Yeah, if I like go all the way back and dig in and dive into my memories of childhood, Nutty Professor was the first time I ever saw Eddie Murphy. Now, Nutty Professor is like a recreation of the original Nutty Professor, obviously, but like with black people. Nutty Professor is about a overweight man who has poor self-image. He's just the sweetest guy in the whole world. He's a brilliant scientist, and he decides to inject himself with a serum that will allow him to miraculously lose weight. Now, the problem with this procedure is that it kind of like, it awakens his inner id. So all the negative aspects of him, like all those poor thoughts of self-image and personality-wise, it kind of allows him to be that version of himself, skinny. But then, you know, it has side effects. You know, it kind of just creates a split personality disorder in him.
Okay, fat jokes. You want to do fat jokes? All right. Your mother's so fat, the bitch need a Thomas guide to find her asshole.
But it's ultimately a comedy. You know, it's meant for funsies. And Eddie Murphy plays his entire family, minus the little kid. But he plays his entire family: the mom, the grandma, the dad, his uncle. He plays the whole family. So the dinner scene is hilarious. And again, it is another over-exaggerated, like, viewpoint on people, plus-size people, obese people. Like, the way the family eats at the dinner table is really exaggerated, in my personal opinion. But again, over-exaggeration for the sake of comedy. That's kind of what we're looking at here. I highly recommend you go watch Nutty Professor if you've never seen it. Go see it. And now for the number 1 spot. This was a no-brainer for me personally, because like I said before, I prefer his family-friendly films. And his number 1 spot is Daddy Daycare. Daddy Daycare is about a man who's been laid off from his job. Him and his best friend, they no longer have work, and he gets the idea, why don't I just open a daycare? You know, because he's like, it's lucrative and I get to spend more time with my son. And there's like no decent daycares in the town, like at all. The only decent daycare they have is like a prep school, and it's highly robotic, highly like meh, and like no emotion, no care, no love, no nothing, and it's expensive AF. So he's like, you know what? Screw that noise. I'm just gonna open my own daycare. And of course, there's a lot of like hesitation from people in the town because it's ran by men.
You're guys?
Well, what did you think Daddy Daycare meant?
I thought maybe one guy, nothing but guys.
I just thought it was a clever name.
Is this a daycare place?
They're guys. They're all guys.
They're what?
And there's this whole stigma on like having men around children in that type of sense, and like male teachers and stuff like that. So,
wow, that's good luck with that. Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. Now, don't you believe in equality amongst the sexes?
Yeah, can't men do everything women can do?
I myself am a teacher, so seeing stuff like that, like kind of like breaking that stigma of like you can actually trust men around children.
No, we can't. It's unnatural. A little bit icky.
I thought that was pretty important. I thought that was cool. And you get to see him spend more time with his son and just have a newfound love for children and, you know, the environment and the experience. And there you have it. Short, simple, and sweet. The top 5 Eddie Murphy films of all time for me goes to Trading Places, Haunted Mansion. Norbit.
Hey, Norbit.
Nutty Professor.
3, 2, 1. Ain't that a bitch?
What the hell?
And Daddy Daycare.
Hey, you get off those grapes. Stop climbing the grapes. Stop climbing. You stop. Hey, you come here. Hey, come here.
Nigga, give me that vase. Nigga, put down that vase.
Alright, so if you don't know where to find these movies, I will put it in my description. So check the description below and like and subscribe. I don't know what else to say, y'all. Tune in, subscribe for the alerts for the next tier list. I'm not telling you what it's about. You're just going to have to tune in and see. Okay? Have a good day. Love you all.
Easy as 1, 2, 3.
Just let yourself